Women of Rubies present her Success Story series. Her Success Story series is a platform dedicated to celebrating exceptional women who are making a meaningful impact in their fields and communities. The series is all about showing women that it is possible through the real, raw, and powerful journeys of women. Sit back, relax, and welcome to her Success Story series. All right. Good evening, everybody. Oh, ouch, 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 ouch. Okay. I thought I broke something. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to her success story. I hope that you are well, and I hope that all is going well with you today. So just give me a second. I need to be able to monitor the people who are connecting what's it called now? On Instagram so that I can see your posts or your messages as well. So give me a second, but let me know in the comments whether you're connecting on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram. Let me know where you're connecting from. I'm going to be reading the comment from YouTube for now. Okay, this is Facebook. I see some people on Facebook. Grace, thank you for joining us. Grace says, so nice to be here. Grace, it's lovely to have you here as well. So give me a second. Let me monitor what's going on online. Yes, there we go. One second, so that I can call on the people on Instagram as well. All right, so if you're joining us on Instagram now, I can see you, so you can drop your comments and I'm going to, acknowledge you today. Grace is joining us from Port Harcourt. Thank you, Grace, for joining us from Port Harcourt. Let me know where you're joining us from, wherever you're watching this, whether on Instagram, on Facebook, or on YouTube. Thank you again. Welcome to the month of May, and welcome to the second episode in this season on her success story. Last time we had a marvelous and beautiful, conversation with the convener and the brain and heart behind the Women of Rubies, which is the platform that is sponsoring this particular show under the large umbrella that they run. And the theme surrounding the whole of the Women of Rubies is basically to shine the spotlight on women, okay, across the world, across industries, across race, and across people, nations, right? And so her success story is just one arm of the Women of Rubies Incorporation, where we really want to shine the light on women who are doing amazing work in their fields and sharing or hearing about their success story. So tonight, well, it's night where I am. So if you hear me saying tonight, just know it's because it is night where I'm at. But my guest today is connecting all the way from Canada, and it's 1 p.m. Canada time. So it's afternoon for her. And some of you are probably connecting from Nigeria, like Grace here, connecting from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. So it's evening. So again, I'll try to piggyback or ping pong between good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. All right. Ola Teju Victoria is from Ekiti State. Thank you for connecting from Ekiti State. I appreciate you. All right. So please do well before we bring on our guests. Do well to share this link with somebody. If there's any woman around you who you want to inspire, who you want to, share your learnings with, somebody that you're trying to do life with, somebody that that you care about, then please share this link wherever you're watching. If you're watching on Instagram, share the link to somebody on Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, share this link to somebody. Or as a matter of fact, for YouTube viewers, you can share it to your story so that people can join us from there. And if you're watching on Facebook, please do share with your friends, or just reshare to your feed to say, come here, join the conversation today. All right. And then we can have this conversation with my beautiful guest. My beautiful guest today, like I said earlier on, is all the way from Canada, and we're here to meet all of her today. All right. My guest today is Heather McWilliams, and she is the convener or the mind behind the brave heart. I hope I'm not mixing that up right now, but just give me a second. Let me not mix up the names and then and the name of her outfit, but I've just come to associate braveness with Heather. All right. So every time I see Heather, anytime I see her comment, anytime I see her photo, anytime I see her name, I just think brave, right? Yes, brave inspires brave. And this is because she truly is a brave woman. And you're going to hear all about that today because all her journey has led her to where she is today. And it's all part of her success story. So without further ado, I have the pleasure of bringing up this virtual stage today my beautiful guest, all the way from Canada, Heather McWilliam. Hello, hello, Heather. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. So good to be here. Thank you so much, EJ and Women of Rubies, Esther, and everyone who has welcomed me into your organization and platform. It's just such an honor to be here with all of you.
Absolutely. And it's such a pleasure to have you on board. So it's a weekend. I'm going to start off cool. So we just ease into the conversation in this moment. How are you feeling today being weekend, being on this show right now? What is your dominant feeling if you have to put it in words?
So someone sent me, I posted this morning about being on the show today, and they sent it to me, and it was about Jay Shetty was speaking on Mel Robbins' podcast, and they were talking about being in the moment, being in the present, and celebrating, where you are today. And my friend Daryl Horton said that to me, and so that's where I am right now. I try as best I can to be in the present moment because at some point in my life, we were thinking about tomorrow or 5 or 10 years from now. And this right here feels like those dreams, those goals are coming true. To be able to be sharing and speaking with you today, it's really an honor. And so just being present and being so grateful for where we are and how much we can impact in the world using our courage, using our voice.
Absolutely. I love it. Being inspired, being grateful. And indeed, it's such a beautiful place to be. And I love what you said. Like, at some point, you were always like, okay, what's next? What next? What next? But yes, we're not leaving that out, but we're also just being present in this moment to say, okay, we are here. We are grateful for where we are. We're grateful for where we're coming from. And we are as well grateful for where we're going to. But as we go every step of the way, we're just going to enjoy the process. I love, 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 love it. Thank you again for taking out time of your busy schedule to be on the show today. Now, the title of the show says Her Success Story. So I think it is befitting to start the conversation by asking you, what is your definition of success? Now, I know, there's the saying that success is subjective, and I kind of believe that. I'm also a firm believer that, defining what success means to you per time, because I think it differs from maybe project to project, season to season, phase to phase in our lives. So if you were going to, describe or define success, what does success mean to you, at least in this season of your life?
I love this question so much. Thank you, EJ. Success to me in this moment, in this season of my life, means that every day, I wake up feeling grateful and that I have my mental health. That is success to me, is knowing that I'm taking care of my well-being, and that every day that I interact with people, that I'm giving them everything that I have, that I've been given from so many people in the world, have been poured into to be able to be where I am today. And so success is really doing the best I can with who I am today, each and every day, and being able to see that in others. And so being, it's so important for ourselves just to be grateful for each moment. And to me, if we can stay in that, the more that we can stay in that moment each and every day and be grateful for what we have, that is so much success. Our journeys are hard and they can be challenging. And so just knowing that each moment you can be grateful for how far you've come, how much you've overcome, all the things, and just sit there at the end of the day and say, I did my best today. And tomorrow I'm going to try to do that again. I think that to me
Yeah.
is success. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Taking it one day at a time. In recent times, people checking up on me like, EJ, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just taking it one day at a time. If I can play today as my role, be present, be grateful, like tick off the things on my to-do list for today, I am successful. Yay. And I love it. Thank you for that, definition, because what I hear is it just lifts off a lot of burden and make, like you said, our life already looks complicated or feels complicated. So defining success the way you just defined it places us in a place of rest where you are not overly stretching, because I feel like there's also a level to creative stretch, but when it is overdone, then it gets into stress, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
place we don't want to be. But just knowing where you are at, being content with where you are at, while being, intentional about where you are going. And I think that is such a beautiful way to define success, because it just gives it purpose. It gives it
Yes.
purpose, it gives it clarity, and it gives it momentum. At that stage, you are no longer competing with anyone, because now, this is all I need to do. So it doesn't matter what every other person is doing around me. I could see it, I could appreciate it for what it is, but then I can just say, wow, congratulations. But I'm also grateful for what I'm doing, because I'm right on track and I love it. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
the
that.
balance. Oh, thank you. I love what you shared. And it's all about that inner peace and celebrating that inner peace. And at the same time, when you have that inner peace, is being able to use that and be a positive impact in the world. Like those
Absolutely.
two things is just an incredible, incredible place to be. And it's definitely a place of success, I would see.
Right. I love it. I love it. So one more question and then we'll dive right into knowing who you are, what you do, and what is this all about. And I want to set the tone by this next question to say, now, we've talked about your definition of success and it's so grounded and very rounded. But why do you feel it is important, especially for us as women, to share this success story, the one that we have defined for ourselves, the one that we are consistently on? Because if success is you saying, being present and appreciative of where you are at, it means that it is progressive, it is continuous, right? So, looking
Mhm.
at that, why do you think is important for us as women to share those stories?
Well, it's really important for everyone, and women and men and everyone, to share those stories, because when there's so many people right now in the world that are being affected by so many different things that are impacting our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual
Mm,
health, all
mm,
of the ways in our life where we're able to feel successful and to feel joy. And right now, just understanding that in every moment where you're at is exactly where you're supposed to be. And
mm,
taking that pressure off yourself and knowing that, we can't, miracles, they happen every day, but those big,
right.
huge goals where you want to be, they don't happen every day. And the more that we can have
Mm,
grace for ourselves, the more compassion that we can have for ourselves, that takes away from the physical harm that may be happening when we're being too hard on ourselves. That our body really and our cellular levels really feel that in the world. And then that impacts our ability to have compassion for others and to be able to
mm,
understand that everyone is on a different journey. We're all learning different
learning.
lessons at different times. And just understanding that, 1% every day really makes a difference. And the more that we can stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, we're
Mm,
all perfectly imperfect, and understanding that we're human and we make
mm,
mistakes. And that's okay,
mm,
because tomorrow, by the grace that we wake up and breathe again, we can
mm,
continue to build upon who we are as a person, a leader, our
right.
relationships, and our environments. It's so
Mm,
important for women to share our stories, because there's so many women around the world who have not had the opportunity to share their stories and still don't. Past, present, and future, we need to continue to share. The more that I shared my story, the more women, stood up and shared their story. And that to me just empowered me so much to continue to keep sharing my voice, even as um, introverted as I may be sometimes, quite often. Um, I know how important it is, because it
Right.
shows how much I do really care. And if I'm not sharing that voice, if I'm not sharing those stories and those challenges and those adversities, then how will anyone know how to get, to learn from my experiences and learn from your experiences and Esther's experiences? And every single woman has something to offer the next woman, to
Sure.
be able to come out
Right.
of their shell and follow their intuition. And the more that we can
Mm.
do that, people will start to look at and see that there's someone there, and they can't let them, if they're in a place that's difficult or challenging,
Right.
they have a voice and they matter too.
Yeah, I love, love, love. Like you touched on some points that's just making my heart go giddy with excitement. Like when you said, if you don't share, like you understand you are an introvert, and that is one of the major excuses. Well, maybe I could
Mm.
refrain a little bit from the word excuse, but it's probably one of the major reasons that a lot of women don't share. They feel like, I am an introvert. I don't like to stay in front of people. I don't like to speak in front of crowds. I don't love to be in front of the camera. Like, if I'm in a room and I sense that somebody is having a camera in front of me, it just freaks me out, right? But here you are telling us that you are an introvert.
Mm.
But at the same time, here you are sharing your own story because you know the importance of sharing it, knowing that if you don't share your experiences, especially the ones that you know have helped you from where you were to where you are now, then you probably wouldn't be able to help somebody else who is on that similar journey. And because of that, it's taking away the fear or the discomfort that you have with being out here, and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to put aside my introvertedness and I'm going to share the story because there's a woman out there who needs to hear my story, to be inspired, to know that they are not alone on whatever journey that they are on. And it's just so beautiful to know that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Eva.
My pleasure.
Now,
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Now you are the founder of Brave Inspired Brave. I want you to take us on a very short, sweet story about how you came about Brave Inspire Brave. What was the inspiration behind you bringing that to life?
So I had recently won a landmark human rights case as a police officer against my police employer with the largest police service in Canada, which took 6 years. And on that journey, every time I came more out of my shell and stood in my brave or in my courage and did what was right and when I believed to know what was right, even though I was afraid, I noticed that, people around me also started to become more courageous. I noticed,
Mm,
um, you know, let's say my doctor, and being able to stand up to, at that time, um, my police service, who was asking, things that shouldn't be asked of someone that is medically, off work. But she was able to stand up and advocate. And same with the lawyer that I met. She had never really perhaps known what police women were experiencing in the workplace or understood to the level and
mm,
degree that was going on. And I could see her strength and her courage, that reciprocal inspiration that was happening between all of us. And then as I had traveled across Canada, I fled my home for safety. I met so many women, men and women across the country, that would reach out to me by, social media when I was able to be on social media, or in small towns that I had met new friends and their families, and seeing their courage, what they were experiencing in their own lives and their own families. It all just I kept seeing it, but I didn't know it was Brave Inspires Brave at that time. And then I saw more police women coming out in their voices around the world, around the country, and then around the world. And then I saw men and everyone, really coming together and rallying their voice, and how we so needed so much positive change in all different
mm,
ways, with mental health, human rights, the workplace, in policing, in the community. And right after I finished my case, I thought, okay, how am I going to give back in the world again? How am I going to serve again? And really, asking from a higher source, a higher power to lead me to where I could go at that point, as I was being told I could never work again by medical professionals. And
Wow.
what came to me was brave inspires brave, because that's what I was seeing from others and that's what they were seeing in me. And
Mm,
it just kind of, I sat with it for a little while and said, no, it really resonates with me. And I think it's really powerful. And that's when I started creating the website. And that's when I started putting out my ideas into the world and saying,
mm,
this feels so right. And my intuition was saying, even if you don't know where this leads you, you need to follow it because there's something
wow.
really powerful.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. It's almost like what I hear you say is the whole experience
Mm.
morphed into this. It was a natural process for this to come to life. And it also took, your being aware and you trusting your intuition, you trusting your guts and following the process, that got you here to say, okay, this is what I'm experiencing. So it's not even something I'm trying to make up. It is something I'm experiencing. And how can I, just lean into this some more and see how many more people can I inspire? So then now that you have brave, inspire brave, because you were brave, you are still brave. And because you stood out bravely, other people are being inspired to be brave and to speak up as well, based off of whatever it is that they're going through per time. So, what exactly do you do with Brave, Inspire Brave? Say somebody is watching this right now, they can hear a part of your story and they're wondering, okay, how can this be of help to me, or how can I be a part of what you're doing, because I don't even think I am brave for anything. But I hear you say a little bit of your story and I feel like, okay, maybe if I watch her enough, maybe if I follow her work enough, I will be inspired to be brave as well. So can you take us through what brave inspire brave does, and so people can have a better understanding of what you do with it?
Yes, thank you so much. And I hear that a lot. People will say, no, you're brave. I'm not that brave. And honest to God, I see bravery and courage in everyone every single day. So that's the beauty of Brave Inspires Brave, is that, you may not see it in yourself, but others see it in you. And that is just so powerful when someone can say to you, like, I love your brave, whatever that looks like in their life. And so right now, with Brave Inspires Brave, it is a global movement. And we have all kinds of people that have been involved for a few years now that have shared their stories on the
Mm,
podcast and shown how they've overcome challenges, adversities, and changed it and leaned into what those lessons were to go towards their higher
mm,
calling. And right now we're focused on law enforcement, military members, veterans, and their families that have
mm,
experienced, adversities or challenges, or maybe they're still in the service right now, or they're transitioning from the service and they're really looking for a community to rebuild themselves, right? Post
right.
traumatic growth is entirely possible. And that's what we believe at Brave Inspires Brave. And to have those new leadership opportunities, because
Mm,
everyone needs a community where they can, sit with and be inspired by, because you may not see it, like I said, the courage inside of you, but we see it. Other people see it. And
mm,
once you start seeing it, and eventually you'll be able to see it in yourself too. And so we have the podcast. We also have a digital magazine that came out. We've been sharing stories on social media. We also have a membership that just came out where we have subject matter experts like the world, elite leaders around the world that have joined to share their expertise, to share their insights, to be able to get you to where you need to be. Either,
mm,
if you're in something and you're not sure which way to go, there's so much support here for you in our community. And I just want to say, I say it often on the podcast, but I believe in your brave. I really believe in everyone has a
love
purpose.
it.
And it's just
Love
being
it.
able to believe in yourself again and have that community
Mm.
to support you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. You said something important. I'm going to touch on quickly. But before that, let me acknowledge everybody who is joining us online. I see you all joining us on YouTube. Thank you, Musi. I see you, Mary, Esther, of course. Thank you for being here. On Instagram, I see you, Justina Oladoyin. Thank you so much. Indeed, every woman has something to offer. And I also see somebody on my page says, I always okay, this person saying, I always hated law enforcement until yesterday. They came through for me in a major way. And he's just shifted his stance about, law enforcement, where he is at in his country. All right. So you said something really profound when you were saying it, like post-traumatic growth is important. That's the first time I am hearing the phrase post traumatic growth. And I think, oh my God, that is so beautiful because it's saying, regardless of the experiences you've had that caused you trauma, there is still life beyond it. There is healing. And on the back of the healing, there is growth. Can you please talk about that a little bit more? I love it.
Yes, it is something that is really powerful. And like I've said in the past, recently, was someone had said it to me somewhere on my journey, that post-traumatic growth. And I had never heard about it either before. And so what I realized is basically, it's exactly what you said, the lessons that you learn from the challenges that you experience, and then how you're able to, take from that what you've learned and take those into blessings and then grow from there. And so post-traumatic growth comes from being able to be at peace with yourself and where you're at, and understanding the experiences that you've had, even though they may have been, you may have been wronged, you may have been harmed, all the things, is that life is so short, right? We all know how how short life is. And so
Right.
the ability to be able to bring your nervous system back to a state of calm, to restore the peace within your mind, within your body, within your spirit. It is so important to align those things. And in law enforcement, much of us don't know, but I would say that a lot of us have post-traumatic stress, but we just don't know it. We've been so normalized to have that fight, flight, freeze response. And I didn't have it, but we're all working at a very high state of functioning as almost like a robot with not a lot of feelings left, because we can't have those sort of things happening to the degree that it would affect us to be able to respond to certain events. So when I left my job, I came down from not only that, but also the personal sexual harassment trauma. And so my body was in a very serious state immediately. And so I started learning about Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, to the pathways that you can, heal your mind. The body is so brilliant to be able to heal itself. But we just need to be aware. We need to have that education, that knowledge, the access, the support, and just keep trying things, because your body really can heal itself. And that's where post-traumatic growth starts to happen. When your body can calm down, it can relax, it can feel safe again in the world. And again, leaders, that's why in Brave Inspires Brave, having leaders with the highest integrity around the world to join our community was so important, because when you can have faith in other people around you and trust and feel safe, that's again another element to us being able to survive and thrive again with post-traumatic growth.
Right. Wow. That is so beautiful, so profound. And I love it. Post-traumatic growth. And it's essential because of what you said, being that a lot of people are actually going through traumatic experience, but don't even know it. And if you are not aware of it, you can't even try to work on it. You can't realize that you need to heal from it, much more grow after it, and so it is important. What would you then say when it comes to that? So it almost seemed like, what you stand for right now is advocating for people becoming more aware of what it is that is going on within and without them, in a way that is affecting their mental health or even their health generally, and saying, how can you be more aware? How can you notice these things? How can you name them so that you can begin to work on them? So it sounds almost like you are advocating for it. So if I come to you and say, what does advocacy mean in that regard to you, based off of the work that you're doing from your own experience to how you are now impacting your world and making a difference within the Brave Inspires Brave community? What does advocacy mean for you?
Advocacy in the beginning, I didn't understand it. I just knew how to be a police officer and with that title. But looking back now, we are, as a police officer, we do a lot of stuff where people cannot, necessarily understand for themselves. They may be vulnerable. They may not have the awareness, the understanding, the capability. And so I think that in every profession and every person around the world, in some way in their life, may be an advocate, and they just don't understand it or know how to bring it to the next level or know where to go with it. But advocacy means you're standing up for something that you believe in that could be changed into a positive in the world. And that's really important, because your intention behind what you're doing, whether you're standing up for your own rights, human rights, mental health, your community, whatever that looks like, to improve the well-being of yourself or others, it needs to have a good intention behind it, because it needs to have that element that you understand the perspectives, and not only yourself, but the other people that are involved in being able to make that positive shift and impact in the world, whatever that may be. And so advocacy now means that improving the quality of life of either yourself or others in the world. And so that's why I say almost everyone, I think, in the world at some point is an advocate, whether it is for your parents, whether your children, whether a friend, whether a neighbor, whoever that is. We're all advocates in some way. But the important thing is to take care of your health during that time and make sure that that is a priority. Because if you're not able to take care of your health, then more is going to come from that advocacy work that you're doing. And so I really have great respect for so many people, and you have to be really mindful and aware of how much you can advocate, and really just try and, do what you believe in, listen to your heart, listen to where you're supposed to go with it. There's so many things in the world, but you really have to be able to balance that.
Right. I love, 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 love it. Everyone has an advocate in them. So it's just understanding how to channel it and how to balance it so that you are not advocating for something at the detriment of your own health or your mental health, or putting yourself at arm's way, to danger. But so how would you then say that your personal experience has shaped your advocacy work in what you do right now? What effect has your personal experience has on your advocacy?
It's been an evolution, I find, within myself in the advocacy, because at first I stepped out to stand up for my own rights and take care of my own health. And then it became standing up for police women in the workplace, their rights and their health. And then I saw how the males were being affected and how there was officers taking their lives, and what was impacting that. And someone had reached out to me early on that they had lost their husband, and I had reached out to them and understood more about their story and their mental health and what happened to them. And so it grew into, no, it's for all of police culture. This advocacy was to change police culture. And then from there, in my own experience and the retaliation that I faced from standing up to my police employer, I began to understand the greater advocacy in the communities that we serve, and understanding the fear that they were experiencing and the misunderstanding that was happening between police and community, because I was now afraid of the police. I had post-traumatic stress from the police, and could understand now how generations around the world have feared people in a uniform in policing, and police officers, the way that we had been trained, the experiences that we had had. I had no idea from my experiences in life at that point in my training to understand what mental health was, because I was hired to not have any mental health challenges and not have those, experiences where they were, quote unquote, not good experiences with the police. So how do you put those two worlds together so that they can
Extremes.
understand one each other and understand that the police have no greater training, no greater education. And so it really became a greater advocacy and understanding, one, where do I fit in the world now? And how do I help? How do I serve at a greater level? And that's why when I say today is a really important moment for me, because I didn't know, 5 years ago where I belonged in the world. I didn't, my advocacy was towards, policing, but then it became about the community and being able to bridge that
Right.
gap. It's so
Right.
important that I can help everyone, I guess. And I'm not trying to say I can help everyone, but my advocacy really takes perspective into everyone's understanding as to what they've experienced in
Right.
life. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is so beautiful. And for me, what lesson, and I'm going to ask you some of the lesson you have, that you've learned around along your journey so you can share with us. But the lesson that just came to me right now from this part of your story you just shared is that, life has a way of using our experiences to position us into where we are meant to be or where we are meant to serve. Because here you are experiencing life from two different extremes, and now you are better positioned to be like a bridge. Because now you are now able to communicate the mindset from this end to the people on this end, and to let these people on this end understand this end, so that there is like some level of communication and compromise and meeting halfway to say yes, so that people here can fix the things they need to fix, and people on the other side can also fix, so that we can have a better community. And it's just interesting. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I feel almost as if it's an honor to be the one chosen to experience both, even though the experience is so painful. And I know, like, when you were going through it, you were like, why me? Why is this
Yeah.
happening to me? How did that
Yes,
all play
yes.
out for you?
I'm smiling now, right? And laughing with you because I was living in I felt like three different dimensions at one point. I was living in the dimension of I was trained to be a police officer and this was my path. And then I was living in a dimension where I was not being believed that I was telling the truth in a court for 4 years. And to me, my integrity was everything that I was raised with in my life by my
Mm,
family. And every single friend that I've ever known know that's all that I do try to do my best in the world in. So there was that dimension of the world thinking that putting me out in the media, that I had no integrity for so long, against standing up against so many police officers. And then there was that dimension that I went into, which was the higher dimension spiritually, I was graced with, to be able to survive and thrive, to get to post-traumatic growth with the spiritual aspect, and having that relationship with a higher power, with God, and on all the things that, whatever that is to you. I didn't really want to label it. And being in that space and having that vision and having that evolution and saying, I'm now not any of the things that I'm hearing about myself. I am, but yet I was still having to go to court, and I was still having to live in the life that was now in the past, where it was such an extreme experience. I was living in three dimensions, if you want to say whatever that is. But the perspective that we can have when we're able to step away from the experiences in our life and be able to ask for what those lessons are, and be able to walk through someone else's story, through someone else's journey. We've never walked a mile in someone else's shoes, but we can certainly try. And that has always been, since I was a young girl, a favorite saying of mine. And so, it's so important for us to just sit back and understand that everyone is learning lessons at different times in their lives. And, being able to forgive those people that may be causing you harm, and understand what they have gone through to get to the point where they have inflicted that sort of behavior on you. there's a certain level of wishing and praying for them, and just wanting peace in the world. That seems to be my underlining red thread, is really wanting peace and a greater quality of life for everyone. So many nights that were very dark over the course of those many years, very dark. And now I would ask all the time to the higher power, what is the point of all this? If I am still here and I am still alive, what is the point of this? Please use my story, use whatever you need. Please keep me alive, and please show me the way to be able to help and serve again, because I don't understand, but I'm going to trust you and keep trusting you until I see the good in the world and the good that comes from this, because I don't believe anyone should have to be in darkness. There is a point when we're brought to that darkness. There is a point to it. And that's what our evolution says now, when we can get into that space, is that there is a reason why you are there. It's because you need to just calm your soul, calm your nervous system, and start listening to where you need to be in the world.
Bless your heart, Heather. That was so beautiful. As you were describing that, I couldn't help but see me in my own 3D, 3D
Or
experience.
they say 5D now. I think it's called like a 5D, like that's with your third eye, right? You're trying to see the future in a way that you can,
it is
there's a part of our brain that wants to be able to pull us to that higher calling. And I can't remember what it's called. I've been told what it's called. They call it manifestation, but there is a particular part of the brain that you can access to be able to start living in that way, and understanding that what you focus on is what will eventually, the laws of the universe will gravitate.
Man,
I'm sure you know about that. To be where you are, to be in the spirit and the energy that you have a powerful force within you. That I know, that I experienced the first time I met you.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather. But honestly, you just took me everywhere, and I'm like, yes, this is so powerful. And for those of you who are watching or listening, depending on where you're watching from, I just need you to know that somebody here is watching this right now, or you could be watching the replay later, and you can literally understand what Heather just described without you couldn't describe it. But the moment you described it, you're like, oh my God, yes, 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 yes. I know the feeling. Yes. 3 dimensions or 5 dimensions at the same time. And it feels like you don't even know where you belong. Heather, I am curious to know, just because I'm a curious person, what was that thing that you were holding on to in that phase where it felt like I don't belong anywhere, and it felt like it was too dark and it's too deep in here? What was it that you held onto that helped you until the whole knot in darkness and confusion began to give way to the light that has brought you here, that you now have some level of focus, direction is a work in progress? But what was it that you held on to?
I held on to, an understanding, faith, having faith in the vision that I had been given, that there would be peace in the world, and that great leaders around the world would be found, and they would gather, and they would start making the world a better place. And I held on to that faith, into that vision, that it would come true, and that people would start to have a greater hope again in the world for one another. So I trusted in the higher power, in God, in that vision, in that promise of keeping me alive, in showing me the way through this. And that
Mm.
if I had won my landmark human rights case, that was the biggest sign he could show me, or that it could be shown that this was all for a reason. And
Absolutely.
and so when I thought I had done what I was supposed to do, the next vision that came to me, and if you build it, they will come. And I'm going, build
Mm.
what? What am I supposed to build? I don't. Haven't I done enough? Haven't I done enough? And and it would not go away. So that's where Brave Inspires Brave entered.
So
And because
good.
it would not go, I said, look, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I just want to just be quiet for a few minutes here, please. Can I just have a moment to myself?
Oh,
This is the
wow.
moment. This is the moment to myself, is being here with you and saying, I built it. Here we are. And now we can gather. And now we can start
Mm.
building together.
So beautiful. What a beautiful journey you've been on. Painful, excruciating, humiliating at some point, confusing even, like frustrating. But here we are at this other end. Indeed, don't they say that at the other side of the tunnel, at the other side of your fear, there is the breakthrough. At the end of the tunnel, there is the light. And your story here today has just shared that no matter how dark the tunnel is, and the tunnel could be anything if you're watching right now, it could be you going through a divorce. It could be you going through a case in the court. It could be you going through a season of brokenness. It could be you going through poverty for so long. It could be you going through confusion, rejection upon rejection. But with Heather's story here, what she's saying essentially is to say, just hold on. There is truly light at the end of the tunnel. And if you are finding yourself waking up morning after morning after morning, even though things are tough and hard, and you don't even understand why this is happening to you, the fact that you are alive and waking up is enough for you to hold on that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe, like Heather, you wouldn't have the time to say, okay, let me catch my breath. What am I supposed to build? But this experience you are going through is shaping you, is preparing you for what is next. And as you can hear already in Heather's story, even though she felt this was excruciating at the time, but here she is today, able to build a community that is wholesome, that is not lopsided, that is not, favored to one end, and it's just rounded. She had to go through so she could experience on both sides of the divide. And she's able to say, you know what? I see you. I hear you. I see you. I hear you. And here is what I hear. And then she's able to pass on the message. Oh, it is so beautiful.
So well said, EJ. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel seen and heard through you. And that is just so beautiful. So thank you so much. And I'm just so grateful. Women of Rubies is an amazing organization. And
Thank
I
you.
absolutely love what you and Esther and everyone here are doing to create good in the world and to promote women's voices so that everyone can be heard and seen and valued.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. If you were going to leave us, women who are watching here right now, I see some comment. Let me just quickly take some comments so like people are really going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Right. So let's take some comments quickly. Okay, Grace is just having it like there is light at the end of a tunnel. Grace says, I am encouraged. She says, I have faith, hope, and above all, God. And Grace is just being ascribed today, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it, Grace. Thank you so much. Grace also says here, give me a second. Yeah, Grace also says here, what I focus on is what the universe will provide for me. I love it. Thank you so much, Grace, for putting in this comment. And it says, Heather, story is inspiring and encouraging. I am not giving up. So, Heather, you are
Good.
still inspiring. Your brave is continually inspiring. So, thank you so much. I have some comment on Instagram. Um, Okay, Justina says, thanks for sharing this. We are Adeyinka says we are glad you're enjoying. Okay, we're enjoying the conversation. Okay, fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. House of Shirley says, thank you so much. Thank you. Please, if you do have questions for Heather, you can quickly type it in. We would love to take some from the audience. So please, fine. Okay, so I also have Shirley. Okay, so all right, no problem. You can reach out to the Women of Rubies via email, and we'll see what we can do to assist you. But yes, if you're watching this and you have a question that you want me to throw at Heather, please type it out in the comment and we'll take it. Heather, for any woman watching this, and generally anyone, who has heard you and they've connected to your story and are encouraged and inspired, what are some other things that you would love for them to live here with, in a way that shifts their mindset or their perspective, that can help them, make the journey a little bit easier for them? So, what are some things that you would love to share with them for them to remember?
I think one of the most important things is to always remember that you matter. No matter how you feel in the world, you may not feel seen or heard or valued. You really, honestly, genuinely, lovingly matter. And surround yourself with people who understand your value, because you are more valuable than you may know. I know
Mm,
that. I know that. We don't always give ourselves, as much grace and
sorry.
compassion until we hear it from
Mm,
someone else. I know for a very long time, I was always trying to discredit that voice, to say, who am I? Who am I to make a change in the world? Who am I to stand up and stand against leaders that are more experienced than I am, who have more power than I am, who have,
mm,
all of the education more than I have? But let me tell you, when you're being asked to follow your vision, none of that, it does not matter. So just believe in yourself. And until you can do that, join communities, be around people who believe in you. And please stay with us. It's so important, our mental health. Take care of yourself, take care of your health. That is the number one thing above all, is block
mm,
out anything that is bringing you down. It's so
mm.
important. There's so many different things, like, the radio, the TV, the Twitter, all, or X, or what,
Social
all the,
media.
take down all the negative things around you, whatever is happening, and put on positive music, put on positive affirmations, put on positive podcasts. You know, it doesn't matter where we are. I hope that you know that you can build yourself to wherever you want to be, and just 1% every day. That's
Mm.
just work on yourself 1% every day, and believe in your brave. That is so important to me, because everyone has a purpose. Everyone on this earth has a higher calling, has a purpose. So I really encourage you to connect with others and start sharing your story. You never know what can happen.
Love it. I love, 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 love it. Like everything you've touched on, believing yourself, take care of your mental health, join a community, surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with people who believe in you and who will speak into you, even when you don't believe in yourself. And when you said that, it hit me like, oof, I am so grateful, right? Because, and when you said, stop the self-talk that says I am not enough, I don't have enough qualification, I don't look like the people who do this kind of things, I don't, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't. But you do have you do have a vision, and you do have brave. That's what Heather is telling you. You've got brave in you.
Be
Look at the
authentic.
brave.
We just want everyone to be themselves. Just be you. And I had to learn how to be me, because I
Mm,
didn't know how to be me anymore after everything.
wow.
And I get that. Learn to be you now, not who you were. Be you now. And
Right.
eventually, you'll understand why you're here.
Absolutely. There's a question coming in from Adegboye Gayinka, says, in the midst of so much going on around, how can one truly embrace purpose without getting overwhelmed?
I think it's so important to quiet your surroundings, quiet your environment.
Hmm.
It may be impossible some days, but you can't
Hmm.
give up on it. There were so many days where everything around me was so loud, so overwhelming. I was breaking down, mentally, physically. I was going to the doctor. I
Hmm.
was like, how many doctor's appointments? I can't even tell you. So many doctor's appointments, physical health, mental health, all the things. But you really have to hold on to that faith and spirituality and whatever you feel connects you to a higher being within yourself.
Right.
Just trust it. Trust there is a reason, have hope, and and protect your peace. You have
Hmm.
to protect your peace. It's so important. What you surround yourself with, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, it's all allows your body and mind and spirit to align. And then that takes down the overwhelm. And then you can regain your focus and know your why. Stick to your
Right.
North Star. Always remember your why and stick to that North Star. It's so, so, so important. And so
Important.
everyone gets overwhelmed,
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
no one is not, in that space. We all have those moments. We're all human, but it's being able to have that routine in place,
Right.
those resources, those tools in place to be able to bring you back to your
Back to
foundation.
center. I love it. I love it. And I love it. And so true that we all hit this point every now and then on our journeys. But the work here is exactly just being aware and being able to spot it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm so grateful that I can do that now. Like, I can know when my state shifts and
Yeah.
when it's knocking and the question or the yappy EJ is coming on board, like, hey, I see you. I see you, sister. Not today.
Not
Not
today.
today.
Not today. Go for a walk instead. Put on some nice
Exactly.
music.
I
Not
know.
today.
Not today.
Not today.
Like, dance. Call your friend that
Yes.
every time you listen to them, you just laugh for no reason. Let's have that conversation
Yes.
and shut the yappy EJ in your head and say, nope, not today. We're not sitting with you today. And there are actually days, I wouldn't lie. There are days that it's really sneaks up on you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're already down before you even know what hit you. Like, wait, what? How did we get here?
Oh, I love the conversation that you and Esther had for her story and the laughter and like, having those friends that you've known forever that you can just shut everything down and just know that, we can laugh about things too, right? We can
Absolutely.
laugh at ourselves. Sometimes it's the way it's got to be, right?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much, Heather. This has been such a beautiful conversation, and I'm inspired by your journey, by your story, and by the work that you're doing and your success. Just you the definition you opened up with is consistent with all the journey or all the stories that you shared afterwards to say, what, it's just taking it one day at a time. I didn't have it all figured out at the beginning. I still don't have it all figured out, but I know that I know what I know, and I know who I am, and I know my source. And so I'm holding on to source, holding on to hope, holding on to faith, and taking it one day at a time, and allowing my center and my core to lead the way, to tell me how to be and how to do, and just leaning into all of my authenticity. And it's just beautiful to see, because as tough as everything could be, if you are right in the core of who you are and you are living out of authenticity, it makes it a little bit more easier, because all you need to go against is the resistance from without. But it becomes like almost impossible when there's resistance within, and then you still have to face the resistance coming from outside. It's a like, do you want to kill yourself? Come on.
That's like a hurricane. Like that's like a tornado. Sorry. Like that's no. Yeah. Follow yourself. Follow your intuition. Do what you know is right inside of you. It's so important. I love how you said that, EJ. So good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, wherever you're connecting from, whether that is Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, thank you for being a part of her success story today. Remember what Heather said, you have brave in you, and that means you have success in you. You have a purpose on earth, and you sharing your story can also be a source of inspiration to many. And who knows where sharing your story could lead you as well. Thank you so much, Heather, for being here today, for spending time with us, and for sharing your inspiring story. Keep on inspiring the brave in others as you show up bravely on your own journey as well. All right, guys, this is the energetic EJ. It's been a pleasure hosting the conversation today. Till our next conversation on her success story, have a beautiful afternoon, evening, night, depending on where you're connecting from. And please never forget that you have brave in you. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right.